New Wave on Vinyl. Shad has 3 calls to action. This is his contest. Hello, I'm Eric, and this is the Plastic Soundwave Cult. And if you want to be in a cult, just click that subscribe button, hit a thumb, and if you want, hit that notification bell to toll for thee. So Shad has a channel called Vinyl New Wave, and he basically covers new wave, 80s, things of that nature on his channel, especially vinyl, what his vinyl finds are. If you grew up in that time, it's a great channel to watch. It takes you right down memory lane. And right now he's having a contest, or at the time of this videotape, he's having a 200 subs contest. And he has 3 calls to action. You have to make a video. You have to be subscribed to his channel. And you have to do these 3 calls to action. So this is my video entry to Shad's 200 subs, or another 200 subs contest that he's doing right now. So let's go ahead and get Persnickety and find out what his calls to actions are. So I actually have a lot of new wave, but most of it is on CD. I do have some new wave on vinyl, and I originally picked out 10 records because I figured I'd stick with vinyl since that was basically in the call to action. Starting off with that 10, I started realizing maybe some of them didn't really count as new wave. So I called up somebody that I totally trust and kind of bounced around the idea with, and that would be my brother. And we talked about it, and I ended up eliminating 2. One of those being Peter Gabriel. So, even though it came out in 1986, it's not really new wave. It is heavy on synths. It's got good bass lines, but it's more art rock, world music type music to me instead of new wave. So I ended up taking that one and pulling it out. The other one, even though I know it's going to be one of the prizes, was I had the Smiths' first album. And actually, when I thought about it afterwards, yeah, they're not new wave. I don't know, I consider them more alternative or college, though I never did like the term college, even when I was in college. But alternative seemed to be fair enough to me, so I would call that more alternative than new wave. But other than that, I think I got some pretty good selections at the 8 that I still have. And we're just going to go ahead and start right from the beginning of new wave, and that would be this album, The Cars. Now, I don't know, some people might not consider The Cars true new wave, but to me, that was the beginning of when you had good bass lines, good guitar riffs, good synthesizers. This is the point where you start getting interesting lyrics. It sounds a little bit different than everything else that's on the radio, but still sounds familiar. I remember as a kid listening to The Cars in like 1977, 78. I know the album came out in 78, but about halfway through that year, I had moved to England. I'm an Air Force brat, so the military took us over to England for 6 years. So the first new wave that I got, I feel, would be The Cars. The Cars, to me, would definitely be one of those very first bands that started new wave. And so, yeah, that is new wave to me, right at the start. But then I wanted to find an album, which I do happen to have on vinyl, that would be way on the other end of that spectrum. And that album, even though it didn't come out in the 80s, is LCD Soundsystem's this is happening. If you didn't know better, you would swear this band was out of the 80s. It totally takes me back to that time, even though I know it wasn't. This album wasn't even made until 2010. I don't know. I don't know that much about LCD Sound System. I've learned a little bit about him. About it. This is like his third album. It was supposed to be his last album, but I guess he came back. We all know how that goes. It's going to be the last one, and then they always come back, which I'm fine with. But yeah, this has all the elements of new wave. It's got synthesizers, it's got guitars, it's got good bass lines. The only thing that the criteria that it doesn't match up on is it wasn't in the 80s. You can definitely hear new wave influences in this, and to me, it's not new wave influenced, it's new wave. So it's weird because it's not the old new wave, it's like a new wave, if that makes any sense. So what about in smack dab in the middle of the 80s? Well, that would be a guy that I was already on my way back from England. I heard about him in England, saw his singles in England, but I didn't see his album until I got back to the States because the album didn't come out till afterwards, and that is Howard Jones' Dream into Action. This is an album that's solid all the way through. To me, it's pure new wave. Even it has some guitars, and he does a remix of some of the songs that he does on this album on a later EP. It's just good, fun. You can dance to it. To me, it's just totally new wave. What else can I say about it? He's got the hair, the style. That's the other thing is the style. Style has to go with the new wave. You know, snappily dressed. I mean, punks were kind of rough dressed, and country stars dressed like cowboys and stuff like that. These guys, like, the fashion and the look was also part of it. And Howard Jones definitely, with his hairstyle and the clothes that he wore, had that new wave aesthetic as well. And so I'm not quite sure if we were allowed to use compilations or not. I didn't. It's a soundtrack, but She's Having a Baby, John Hughes film. Yeah, it's all about the 80s music, and it does have some new wave on here. Dave Winkling, Love and Rockets, Gene Loves Jezebel, XTC, Brian Ferry, I don't know if I'd call him new wave. Christy McCall, I call her more alternative. Everything with the Girls kind of more alternative. Kate Bush to me is new wave, even though it's really artsy. But it's the styling, though she had her own style. It wasn't a new wave style. Miraculous, I wouldn't know. But most of these bands on here, at least half of them I would say are new wave. And I've always liked this. It's one of the few things where I've got the movie, I think on VHS. I got it on DVD. I've got the tape. I've got the CD. And then I finally found the vinyl. And I had to pick it up. I think the only reason why I'm fascinated by this movie is because it's the only movie that's ever made me cry. The scene where Kate Bush's woman's work is played over his kid being born via C-section. Man, that's just such a good part of that movie. It just, even when I watch it today, I don't watch that movie all that much because I know if I see that scene, I'm going to cry. Not bawl, but, you know, I'm definitely going to tear up. That's a tough one to watch all the time. Alright, so these guys are more at the tail end of the new wave, but I still consider them new wave even though they didn't have any real guitars. Pet Shop Boys. So, yeah, the Pet Shop Boys tend to not have any guitars really in any of their songs. It's all synthesizers, but they were in the 80s. synthesizers, good bass lines. You could dance to it. They definitely had a fashion. You know, fashion was a part of the thing. So the only thing minus is the guitars. But other than that, I'd say they're one of the quintessential new wave bands. Um, though I could see how somebody might say that's a little bit iffy, but I don't know. If you don't agree with me, you can put it down in the comments. And so here's another one. It's much harder to see, but it is the Blow Monkeys, Digging Your Scene, the 12-inch. And this comes with the extended mix, the Dub Cosmic mix, and the album version. And I got this because I love the album version of this, but I never really did care for the rest of the album. I do have it on tape, but the only song I've ever liked from that is Digging Your Scene. So, but Essential 80s, it's on a 12-inch single. That was huge in the 80s. I got into, when I had my old collection, that it definitely, I always went out and tried to get at least once a week a 12-inch version of something. So, yeah, the Blow Monkeys. So, when I was younger, one of the shows that I used to watch in the 80s was 120 Minutes. And that's where you would find a lot of new wave after the music scene was kind of changing, because MTV played a little bit of everybody. But if you wanted to see specific alternative or new wave stuff, you would watch 120 Minutes on MTV. And one of the bands that I learned about on there was another 12-inch single. This is an awesome 12-inch single, and apparently this one is also a promo, which I didn't realize till now. Sales unlawful. Somebody better let Amoeba know. Yeah, the extended version of this song is just incredible. Just the way that it builds, and it just, oh man, it's great. It's dancey. It's got good lines. To me, this shows all the hallmarks of new wave music. So definitely, if you get a chance, check this out. If you can get the original cover for this, because I was tripped out, because if you notice on here, hopefully that stays in focus, I always wondered why he had such a little hand. He's got a little tiny glove, like a cartoon glove, but there's this here, it doesn't make any sense. And then I saw the original cover. Yeah, I went there. Now, I don't see a little glove there anymore. And then so I just got one more from 86, and it's another soundtrack. Pretty in Pink. I mean, this has got so much good stuff. Psychedelic Furs, In Excess. Jesse Johnson, I guess is kind of new wave. It sounds more like Prince when you listen to it. Suzanne Vega, OMD, New Order, Beloy Sum, Echo and the Bunnymen. Now it has the Smiths, but again, alternative, not new wave. But Echo and the Bunnymen are definitely new wave. And this is this is just such a good one to put on, and it just takes you right back there. One extra nice thing about this one is it does have the pink label, so that's pretty cool. A&M normally is like a gold color. They made it pink for this record. Well, I pretty much like alternative and new wave, so it'd be kind of hard, but I do listen to a lot of old 60s psych, heavy metal, some black metal, punk. I like all kinds of music. But I like stuff that's influenced by it, like the LCD Soundsystem. But I've been really getting into like garage psych new garage site. So stuff that's coming out in the last 10 years or so. And some of it's really good. Like Oceans of the Moon, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and probably kind of my favorite band right now. They probably hate it because I'm such an old guy. The OCs or OCs. And so if there's any album that I would have you check out to introduce you to that sound, you know, it's just crazy. It makes you want to shake your butt. Sometimes it's mellow, sometimes it's fast. It's like psychedelic meets garage, and they're also aware of the 70s and the 80s. So it's just like all of this stuff mixed together just makes such a lovely combination. And the OCs, this is Floating Coffin. That would be the album that I would recommend to check out this genre. And that would be like, again, King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard. Anything from Castle Face Records. So if you're not aware of the OCs, check them out. And I would highly recommend this one. I think you'd really like Toe Cutter Thumb Buster, I think is the name of the song. So the good songs on here would be I Come From the Mountain, Toe Cutter Thumb Buster, Strawberries 1 and 2, Maze Fancier is a good one, Monitor is a really good one, or Minotaur, sorry, Minotaur. Yeah, the OCs, Floating Coffin. If you don't know about them, Shad, check them out. And that might turn you on to a whole new set of weird music that to me feels weird, like how New Wave sounded when I heard it for the first time way back when, when I was a kid. So do I have any other hobbies, and can I make one of those tie in with collecting records? To be honest, I do have a hobby of collecting hobbies. I got a few. For a long time, until a couple of years ago, I was what they call an adult fan of Lego. I just found taking those things, putting them together, is super relaxing. And I just kept buying them and buying them. I used to have a really big collection, but I pared it down to some of the stuff I had when I was a kid with some new stuff. I do have some of the trains. The number that's on the train that I have in there from BNSF is I'm not sure what the number is, but it'll be in the video. I have seen that, but like that number, but one number higher. So I think it's an actual train that's out there, but I've never seen the actual train. But I've seen a close number to the train that I have built in Lego. My other hobbies are I do collect shot glasses. So when I go someplace, I either get a T-shirt or I'll get a shot glass. And I like shot glasses because they're an easy memento to remember from a trip, and it's easy to put in your suitcase. And so I do have a curio cabinet that has all of my shot glasses in it. My favorite that I have, I got from a relative. It's a really simple one, and it just says, "Get a lift." It's just a beautiful little shot glass. So I do have a few that are decorative, and then most of them are from places that I visited. The other thing is I collect old Camel memorabilia in the boxes just because they've changed a lot over the years. It's just a weird thing that I like. I don't really smoke anymore, just occasionally. But once in a while, you know, when you're really stressed out, you gotta have a fucking smoke. And just over the years, they've done different packet styles, lighters. You used to have the camel dollars, which is illegal now, but some of the stuff is I used to get from my camel dollars that I used to get on the packs of camels. And I just like some of the artwork on them, and I don't know, it's just a weird thing I like, and probably nobody else in the world thinks about collecting cigarette shit. And then the other hobby that I have that I'm still fairly active in is I like to keep fish. I have aquariums. I have one, two, three, four aquariums altogether. Just something I like. I find relaxing. The only thing is I have to keep it separate from listening to music, because I like listening to loud music, and it's not too cool for the fish if they have to hear it. So I do have them in separate areas of the house. But yeah, I've been enjoying keeping fish for about 5 years, and that's something that keeps me at home, keeps me busy. You got to take care of it. In order to make it work, it takes a lot of practice, and that kind of brings me to the bonus question about how do you tie all of these things together. Well, with aquariums, you have to learn a lot, and one of the things I like about collecting records is learning about the record and getting all persnickety about the labels, what songs are on it, what songs are on another version of it, what version do I have, is it a reissue, is it an original? You know, you have to research all that stuff, and as a consumer of buying, you know, used records, you want to make sure that you are knowledgeable so you don't get, you know, taken advantage of. And it's the same in aquariums. You have to totally it's so easy to be taken advantage of in that hobby, and so I've learned that if the simpler you keep it, the better it actually works out. Yeah. Somebody let Steve Carlson know I've got 5 that do this shit. All black. So that is my video for Shad's another 200 subs contest for the Vinyl New Wave channel. So if you like new wave music and alternative music and music from the 80s, Chad is your guy. So definitely check out his channel. Subscribe if you're not subscribed to his channel. And until next time, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.